board, and I know we're doing a good job at keeping ourselves on track also. Justin Berninger, I'm running for Congress in the 5th District, and I'm from right down the road in Farmington. It's good to be here in Canton. I've got family from Canton. In fact, I graduated from this high school. And I'm running for Congress because, like a lot of you out there, I've got that feeling in the pit of my stomach that things are going in the wrong direction. I'd like to just get a show of hands. Who here feels that we've got a good plan in this country right now to bring jobs back to the United States and get spending under control? Okay. So now one person raised their hand. That's why I'm running for Congress. And that's why I think the person that we need in Congress is someone that has a background in both economics and national security. Because those are the two major issues facing our country today. I have that background, and that's why I put myself forward to run. I've been running since March. And I think that I've got also the right real-life experience for this job. We're going to need someone who has not just political experience or law experience, but someone's real-life experience that applies to this job in particular. When I was coming up through college and in grad school, when I got a degree in economics, I worked in construction, small business. I understand what it is to get up early in the morning, use your hands, and work in a job where you may not have big margins. After that, I joined the reserves, Navy Reserves, and an intelligence officer. In 2007, I was activated to go to Afghanistan. Of course, as a naval intelligence officer, I got sent to a landlocked country. And in Afghanistan, I learned a lot about national security for America, what our military can do, and especially the threats facing our country. That's the kind of knowledge we're going to need in Congress. Later on, I worked for Governor Rell in her cabinet. And as a department head, I returned 43% of my budget to the Treasury. At a time when Connecticut was facing very tough budget times, other departments were trying to spend every single penny in their budget. Why were they doing that? So the next year that they could ask for more money. That's the attitude we have in Washington. Instead, we return millions of dollars in unspent bond funds. I also have experience in the U.S. Congress. I'm the only one up here who actually has been down there, has seen what happens. And I can tell you, it's very important that we do take back the House of Representatives this year, because that's where the spending bills originate. I want to talk more about our message, though, because it's not just enough to have the right resume. You have to have a positive message today. Does anyone think that we're going to win this race with a negative message? No. We've tried this before and it doesn't work. We're going to have a very positive message with very specific ideas. Let's take healthcare. I know most Americans out there don't want to see a 2,000, 3,000 page bill. A big bureaucratic nightmare that's going to take over healthcare. They want to see real solutions. We heard some of those today. Tort reform, lawsuit reform. And let's let insurance companies sell across state lines. A third thing we can do is allow small businesses to pool together the way unions and corporations can do to lower costs. 3 solutions there that cost very little but could really have a big impact on the way we pay for health insurance today. A second thing is on spending. We have to have specific solutions to our spending problem, as has been mentioned today. What I'd like to propose is a 1% cut to the federal budget every year, at least 1%, until we can get our budget under control. And thirdly, we ought to be looking at ways to specify what those cuts are going to be, as you mentioned. And that really means going in, opening up the books and making sure we get there. Finally, I just want to say we're going to have to talk about where America's going. I believe America is on the cusp of renewal, but we need to get government out of the way. It's clear that that's been the problem. If we have a positive message, if we talk about real-life experience, I know we'll be able to take that.
Justin, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Candidates, our first of 2 questions. Chris Murphy's name has been mentioned, so we will direct our attention to a statement he made in regards to a judge's decision to keep the Pratt & Whitney jobs in Connecticut. Chris Murphy stated, quote, "Pratt did not bargain in good faith. It's time for Pratt to get serious about negotiating a deal with labor and government to keep these jobs here for the long haul." End quote. Yes or no? Do you believe that these sentiments will allow any company to maintain and increase employment in the state of Connecticut in this global economy?
Chris Murphy has it wrong on how to keep businesses in the state. He's trying to do it legally rather than to improve the business environment in the state overall. What he ought to be doing is what we did when I worked in Congress and we saw that the submarine base might leave. we work together in a bipartisan manner to find out how we can keep it here. We need to do, in the long run, reduce the cost of energy in the state, get better health insurance at lower cost, and make sure we're not taxing our companies out. And since I'm kind of ahead of my answer here, Mark, on the issue of the pension signature there, you're not going to go with the pension. Does that mean you're keeping the House dental plan?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm going to have no dental
No
plan.
dental plan or anything like that? Okay,
Nothing.
good. What I'd also like to do is offer, since we're passing around letters, the other candidates to abide by the Republican convention outcome and to get behind the winner of that convention so that we can have a united front facing Chris Murphy. And if we could just have a show of hands if anyone wants to consider doing that, you can do so now. Okay. We'll talk about it more down the road. But I think we need a united front after May to do this, and that's going to be getting behind the candidate the Republicans choose in May.
Justin, thank you. Candidates, as you know, the President of the United States about 2 weeks ago met with House Republicans in Baltimore, and the specific discussion seemed to center around health care. The President looking for the House Republicans' plan for health care. So if you were across the table from the President of the United States, what would you tell him about health care? Justin Burns.
I don't think the President's going to come to me anytime soon and ask me for my opinion on health care. But if he did, I'll tell him the same thing I told Chris Murphy. You need to get out of Washington, come home, and talk to some people who actually do health care and who do insurance. Go ahead, just work with me, just figure out the process. You know, I think about my mother who's a nurse. I probably learned more about just listening to her talk about the healthcare industry than I think Obama could pick up in his board meetings. And that's because there's very common sense solutions that we ought to be applying here. We talked about some of those, I'll repeat. Tort reform is the big one. We got to get it. But I don't think we're going to get it while we still have a Congress that is primarily made up of lawyers. I think it's that simple. We've got to get some people down to Washington who have other life experiences outside of the law and outside of the legislation. People who have been exposed to other fields. And if we do that, we go back to the Congresses of old, where we had doctors and farmers and military people and even priests. I mean, all the way down the line, different industries. You'll have a better representation. The House of Representatives will truly be represented. And then at that point, we have a shot at real health care reform. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would be remiss if we did not thank, first of all, the Canton and Avon Republican Town Committees for putting this event on tonight. We thank you for coming out tonight and showing your concern for our nation. And candidates, thank you very much.